Well, hello. Finally, welcome back to Thoughtful Tuesday with Johnny Tiger. Yeah, I know. I missed out on Soul Search Sunday and I promised to do the made up video on Monday night. And then, well, took me a while to get around to it. Technically, for me, it's still Monday because I haven't gone to bed yet, even though it is like 3 a.m. on a Tuesday. But what the heck? Softball Tuesday has a nice ring to it. And the date is November 30, 2021. We all heard the expression, is a glass half empty or the glass half full. It's supposed to tell us about, you know, how bad a thing is or how positive the thing is. It's really heavily depending on your own perception, how you choose to look at it. Now that may sound like a logical thing. That may sound easy, but a lot of time, this concept is too abstract for us to really make much use of. For example, if I have half a glass of water in front of me, would I think of it as half full or half empty? Well, that really depends on how thirsty I am, isn't it? I mean, if I am in the middle of a desert and there's no end in sight, I may have to be here for another week. Then I'm going to think, oh my goodness, the water is half empty, half gone already. Huh? Now, if I am sitting in a restaurant and someone's coming to refill my water every half an hour, then when they come around, say, would you like a refill? Then I may say something like, oh, no, no, it's still half full. I don't need a refill. So you see, depending on your circumstances, where you find yourself in, no matter physically, emotionally, spiritually at the time, that will heavily influence what that perspective, different perspective look like to you. It's not as simple as just think positive. It's not as simple as that. Another one, a little bit more long-winded proverb that I heard the Chinese people say, and it's basically similar. It goes, if you are a mile away from the mountain, then all you see is how big and grand and tall the mountain is. If you are at the foot of the mountain, then all you see is the road ahead of you going up this mountain. If you are climbing halfway up the mountain, then all you see is the hard work ahead to get to the top. Once you get to the top of the mountain, then you'll see the beautiful view and the great looking surroundings, and you get to appreciate all the hard work you put into it until you have to go back down. That is, it's still the same mountain in all scenarios. It's the same mountain, but depending on where you are at the time, it can be very, very different. All this is to say that sometimes even the most thoughtful of us, there, I threw in that word for thoughtful Tuesday. Even the most thoughtful and self aware of us can get caught unaware in feeling a certain way about a certain situation. And it's not until someone wiser than us or have a better perspective come along and give that little nudge in the right direction, little reminder in the right phrasing that will snap us out of our misery. In 2018, at the end of 2018, beginning of 2019, my previous relationship ended. It was an 18 years relationship with someone that, for all intents and purposes, I thought we were extremely compatible. A lot of people thought we were extremely compatible. Now, I'm not going to go into too much recrimination or uh, the pros and cons, good and bad in that relationship. That's not what this uh, episode is about. Suffice to say, when the relationship ended, I was feeling rather crummy about myself. Now, this may sound kind of weird. Some people are thinking, so you don't feel bad about the relationship ending? You don't feel bad about how you might have hurt the other person? You're feeling crummy about yourself. What's the deal with that? Part of that is because that relationship was kind of going through a slow, very slow death for many years before its official ending. Um, so it didn't really come as a shock that it ended. But what made me feel really bad about was I was not strong enough to make it work. I was not dedicated enough to make a success out of it. 18 years, put in so much work, but in the end, I wasn't strong enough or dedicated or determined enough or loyal enough, however you choose to put it, to stick it out. So needless to say, I was kind of feeling really down about myself. Uh, Honestly, for most of my life, well, let's say just from an adulthood standpoint, from maybe starting from teenage years, for most of my adult and teenage life, I am pretty pleased with myself. I'm pretty self-satisfied. Huh? Uh, I do a lot of things for myself. I got a lot of things done, and I have accomplished things that other people said was impossible. I have accomplished things that I thought was impossible myself. For most of my life, I have this almost uh, self-worshipping view of myself. If I run into myself in the street, if I meet someone, another Johnny Tiger, I would totally be super impressed. I would want to be his best friend. I would want his autograph. That's how much I loved and admired myself. Right? I'm coming across as a bit of a narcissist, uh, or whatever the term may be, someone who really likes themselves. But this relationship, the end of the relationship, made me realize that uh, maybe I wasn't as tough, as resilient, as indomitable as I thought I was. Maybe I was, excuse the phrase, human after all. And that was disappointing. As silly as it sounds, I was disappointed in myself. So I spent a bit of time moping and feeling defeated and disappointed and sad, emotionally and spiritually. And it's almost like it's almost like finding out that your idol, your most favorite, your most idolized superstar did something naughty or did something ridiculous, I suddenly realized that, oh, maybe they're not as cool as I thought. That's disappointing, right? But imagine if that superstar, that idol was yourself. So that was emotional state I found myself in at the end of that relationship. One day, uh, when I was sitting down having lunch with one of my old art teacher, and here is a big shout out, Mrs. Teresa Herchak. I know you watch our video, so if you're watching this, big shout out. We still have to meet up soon, and hopefully before Christmas. And this episode is for you. It's to you. It's a big thanks to you. Uh, because of what you said that day. I was having lunch with Mrs. Herchak, and of course, the conversation drifted onto love life and relationship. How was I doing? And I talked about the end of the relationship and starting a new relationship, and I expressed how disappointed I felt about toward myself. I said, 18 years and it ended in failure. Mrs. Herchak turned to me without a second thought and she said, "Why do you think it's a failure? What do you want out of it? You were in a relationship for 18 years, and from what I understand, you had some good time out of it. You both had some good time, you both benefited from each other, and you made it last for 18 years. How much more successful do you want something to be? It's not everything have to be till death do us part. Sometimes we do something, and if we benefit from it in the end, it's good enough. It's a success. So from where I stand, it's a very successful story. You had a relationship for 18 years, you had fun, you made each other happy, and in the end, you parted company. That's very successful." When she said that, a light bulb clicked on in my head. I said, "Yeah, yeah, she's right. I mean, how many people nowadays can make a relationship last for 18 years and then part company gracefully without a lot of baggage and court hearing and matrimonies and like alimonies and child support and all that mess? Not many. A lot of people, when they break up, it's a royal mess. For us, yes, we have some hard feelings toward each other, but it's nothing that time won't fix. There's no emotional baggage, there's no financial baggage. Everything we had was clearly separated, so there was no fuss. We didn't even have to worry about, hey, who does this bed belong to or who does that dresser belong to? None of that. Because we each had our own place and our own assets. So it was a very simple, okay, goodbye, nice knowing you, that kind of business, right? Uh, as far as I know, there wasn't even any screaming fit and things getting broken. Although I can't speak for her side, at least for me, I didn't scream and stomp my foot and slam the door or stuff like that. Everything was pretty peaceful and quiet here. Uh, so she's right. Mrs. Herchak's right. Not everything have to be till death do us part because when you really think about it, it doesn't make sense. Nowadays, we get brainwashed into thinking that every relationship should last forever. When you get into a relationship, you want it to last forever. You want the other person to promise you it will last forever. But if everything is meant to last forever, that means in our whole lifetime, we would only ever have one relationship and that's it. Right? Which doesn't make sense. Because in your lifetime, you're going to meet a lot of people. You're going to have a lot of partnership and relationship and experiences. Not all of them can last forever. So as long as you benefited, they benefited, and you both had fun, and made a good, honest try at it, then I believe it is a success story. No one will say Bruce Lee was not a success because he died early. No one is going to say Muhammad Ali was not a success because he got Parkinson's disease at the end. Right? So the bad ending or the ending of something does not automatically negate the merit, the good, the benefit that might have resulted in such experience. But here I was, feeling so down on myself, so critical of myself, that I fell into that mindset that, ooh, I didn't make it last forever, so I was a failure. No, that was not fair. I wasn't being fair to myself. Looking back, we made it last for 18 years, and I gave it everything I could. And honestly, at this point, I don't feel anymore that I owed anything to that relationship in the end. A little simple sentence from an old friend was able to set me free emotionally. We need more good friends, wise friends like that.